Hey guys, Bobby here, and I'm with a new friend of mine, Van Bender, who some of you may have seen his articles. He's been writing over at TSB Magazine, and I was introduced to Van through my buddy Rob Judge, who is friends with him out in Scottsdale. They've gotten really close, hanging out a lot, and Rob was like, "You've gotta meet this guy, Van. His game is really, really good." And he actually convinced Van to write some articles for TSB, and then actually started pushing him into coaching. And I've heard quite a lot about you, but this is actually the first time that we're actually going to have a conversation. So I'm looking forward to it. So glad to have you join me today.
Glad to be here, man. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure.
You wrote an article recently for tsbmag.com, and it got a lot of love, people sharing it, people talking about it, and it revolved around the friend zone, which obviously for a lot of guys, it's a huge frustration. And I know from talking to Rob, he said that the friend zone is kind of a specialty of yours, or getting out of the friend zone more specifically, or even avoiding it in the first place. So I figured we'd just come on and just talk a little bit about it. And I'd like to just hear, kind of maybe your philosophy towards it. And then also for the guys that might be in it, some of the steps they can take to get out of it. So now, before we get into it, if you find yourself in the friend zone, one thing I recommend is taking my short 10-question test, because it provides 10 examples of common dating situations and will let you know if you handle them right or wrong. It's a little quiz, and most guys, before they take it, assume they'll do good, but then they bomb every question. The great thing is you immediately get the results, and you discover why each answer was right or wrong, and it will help you make sure you handle things correctly going forward. You can take the quiz at becomehighvalue.com/quiz. Let's get back into it.
Yeah, man. So, the friend zone is definitely a point of contention. It sucks being in the friend zone. I'm sure everyone's gotten friended by some hot girl at some point. But it seems to me like there's a lot of stuff out there about getting out of the friend zone. And I don't want to make light of it, but it's not super difficult if you know what you're doing to get out of the friend zone, And so something that I realized I've been doing in the past, growing up, and it's been kind of a point of contention sometimes with my girlfriends, but I have a lot of female friends, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of them, they're good looking, right? And so what I realized is that there was something there, and by taking a girl and putting her in your friend zone, it completely flipped the whole thing on its head. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it really opened up a lot of options for me. And I didn't even realize I was doing it this whole time, but I had female friends back in college, and there were times that I was like at a slumber party or at like a sorority get together, and I'm the only dude there. You know what I mean? And it didn't like blow up into some crazy theatric orgy, obviously, but it opened a whole lot of doors for me, with not just the girl who I put in the friend zone, but her friends. Yeah. And she's trying to hook me up with her friends because she's got friends who haven't been getting any love. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of the thoughts about the friend zone are kind of short-sighted. And I think there's something else there that, if a guy could learn how to master some of these skills, then he could completely flip the game. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I want to kind of piggyback off of something you brought up, and it's the idea that being friends with women is not inherently bad. And it also doesn't mean you'll never sleep with them, because the majority of women wind up dating, marrying, sleeping with a guy that they were friends with, right? Right. If you look around, most of your friends, me, pretty much everybody you meet, except for the people who may have met their girl now off of Tinder or something. But in the gist of things, the person you wind up being with is somebody that you started off in your social circle. You met them through somewhere. You kind of developed a friendship. You wind up sleeping with them. I mean, throughout life, that's the way it is. So when you say being friends with a girl, a lot of guys think, oh, no, I can't be friends with a girl because now I'm in a friend zone. But that's actually not true. Being in the friend zone, the definition of the friend zone in my mentality, and I know Rob and yours probably, is that the friend zone is when you're not really friends with her. You're secretly in love with her, and you're hoping that one day she's going to finally give you a chance, and you're not actually friends with her. And I think what's great what you said is you were actually friends with these girls, that you put them there. You were friends with them. You hung out with them. And it wasn't like you were secretly in love with one of them. And I think that's a big difference that guys really have to understand, is that there's nothing wrong with being friends with a girl if you cannot be secretly in love with her and pining for her for your entire life. So
Right, right. And I think what screws a lot of guys up is, one, when they're friends with a girl who they are secretly in love with, they never separate that. They never polarize themselves or make any moves to indicate to her, like, yeah, this is a great friend. I love him, as a friend, and he knows all my secrets, but I don't want to sleep with him, because the guys never cross that boundary.
mm-hmm.
And so the woman never even thinks about it, And
Yeah.
the other mistake guys make is they think they're smart, so they're gonna play the long game, right? Try to be a friend, get to know the girl, have her open up to her, and then they spring the trap like, actually, I would also like to have sex. You know what I mean? And a lot of women get that, and so they're almost standoffish. It's like, if you do have intentions of sleeping with her and you make those intentions known too soon, or it's not fluid, it's not like in the moment, then she's completely thrown off, and you guys can't even be friends anymore, because she's just like, oh, here's another douche who's, just trying to get in my pants, and by pretending to be my friend,
Yeah, it's phony. It's almost like if you've ever had like even when you meet like a new guy friend, you're hanging out with them, and then all of a sudden, like a couple days after hanging out with them, they're trying to get you into some multi-level marketing opportunity.
Right.
Like, oh man, was this even real, or you were just trying to like sell me something the whole time? And that's kind of how she feels. Is like, oh, this guy wasn't really, everything was him trying to sneakily move me towards something the whole time under the radar.
Exactly. And and the funny thing is, if you put her in the friend zone and you make your intentions clear from the beginning, then it takes away that tension. And that's when people, when there's no expectation and tension, that's when people just, free flow and do what feels natural. And sometimes, you might be hanging out, and what feels natural in that moment is making out. You know what I mean? And I've had a lot of experiences with that, where, like, we're at a party and whatever, and then next thing you know, we're making out. And it's like, we're just friends though, we're just friends, but there's still that attraction,
Yeah, I agree. In a social circle environment, that's definitely what I found anyways. I mean, Rob has heard some of my stories where I'd work in a restaurant, or I'd work in a bar, and kind of like what you said, everybody's guard is down, because nobody's there trying to take each other on dates and impress each other. We're there just hanging out. And then after work, we're all friends after work. You have a few drinks, and it was literally every night somebody was sleeping with somebody. And then you go back and be cool. And it was just how it was. So I guess specifically, how would you say a guy, let's just take a guy who may not have supreme level of game, a guy who's like kind of not as experienced as maybe you or Rob, and he wants to put a girl in the friend zone to kind of buy him some time, or really buy him some time, but to take that pressure off, right? And that way, hey, if something happens, cool. If not, he at least has a circle of new women that he can potentially be meeting up with. It's always better to, show up at the bar and have women there than to show up with, two of your friends. So what would you say is a good method for even making, you said you made a lot of female friends over the years. How do you even make a female friend in a, in a way that develops into a friendship?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, the good thing about when you approach it from that perspective of, with the intention of just making friends, it's simple. Like, you can literally do it anywhere. I mean, when I was in college, I would just walk up to women in class. I mean, if you're in school, it's super easy because everyone has to study. So you could just say, hey, I'm better than you at this. Do you want to study? Or you're better than me. Can you help teach me? Let's study, But at the gym, you know what I mean? You could, hey, you seem like you're really in shape. I'm trying to do this thing. Would you mind if we met up at the gym together to work out to help keep me accountable? And you completely come at it as just totally a friendship standpoint.
But how do you drive home the point that, because if a guy goes up to a girl at the bar, the gym, for instance, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
She's going to assume he's hitting on her. Like,
Right.
even if you're Matt, she's going to think, oh, it's like, what are you doing to let them know that, hey, you're in the friend zone? Like, you're saying
Right.
that to her. You know, I mean, not specifically, obviously, you're not going to tell her, hey, you're in the friend zone, but are you
Yeah.
saying any comments, or how are you letting her know, like, hey, this is just totally a friendly invite, and I'm not trying to like secretly get in your pants?
Yeah. So I actually I took a Zumba class one time, and
Mm-hmm.
for the purpose of meeting a female friend, obviously, because women do Zumba. I'm not really into Zumba, but so there was this beautiful girl in the Zumba class. I walked up to her and I was like, "Hey, my name's Van. You're super beautiful. I'm sure you have guys approaching you all the time, but you know, like I just got out of a really long relationship. I'm not here to hit on you. I just really liked your energy in the Zumba class. Totally looking forward to seeing you again." You know what I mean? And just pretty much told her like, I'm not, you're pretty, that's cool and stuff, but you know, and it brought her guard down. So she was like, oh, okay, all right. You know, this guy's he's just being friendly. He's not trying to get in my pants. So with that, just outright saying it, you know, whether you say I just got out of a relationship or
or just like, even just saying, hey, I'm not hitting on you. You know, I know you might get hit on at the gym.
Right.
You know, I know that I would hate to be hit on at the gym, so that's not what I'm doing. I just came over here to say this because you had a cool energy or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
You're saying, which covertly probably makes her even more interested in you because you're taking a totally different approach. But
that's it, man. Yeah. Exactly. And you know, I don't like. You can tell I'm like, I'm seeing somebody right now, so like I'm not coming at you that way. You know, I just as friends. You know what I mean? I had a client I was working with, and same thing. There was some girl in his class, and he told her like, "Hey, I think you're super smart. We really have good comments. I'm not really attracted to you," is what he said. So he's like, "I don't want you to get the wrong idea, you know, but I just want to see if you want to grab coffee sometime and hang out because we have good conversation." You know what I mean? And honestly, women get so much dick thrown at them all the time. You know what I mean? And so when you just come up and say like, even if you tell them I'm not interested in you, you know what I mean? It's like, it almost makes them more attractive. They're like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, what does this guy have that makes him so much better? You know what I mean? And you're just like, you're just the friendly dude, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. In a lot of ways, you can almost just use a lot of the lines that women use on us, right? Like if you're hanging out, like, hey, like I'll go out, but I don't want you to kind of get the wrong idea. This is just as friends. And you even just preemptively say those same sort of lines that the women would say to you, and you just say it to them. Just along those lines. But what about, so let's just take a different guy now. Let's just say a guy who, whether or not he went in that way in the first place, but now he's in the friend zone, maybe semi deep. You know, he's not like 3 years her best friend deep, but he's, you know, he met her, you know, he worked with her. Maybe she started opening up to him. They've developed a really strong rapport where they talk about things and they have like really deep conversations, but he's never broached the topic of any kind of sexual interest or attraction. How does that guy kind of do a 180?
Yeah, so it's funny you brought that up because I just started working with this guy at my gym who's in that exact same position. It's a girl he met at work. He's been crushing on for a long time, and he's just in the friend zone, and he's trying to figure out how to get out. So what he did, he was kind of a bigger dude, and he was going to the gym to lose weight, and he did like this 100-day challenge. I was like, that's perfect because you're focusing on yourself. I think that's a big one. You got to take a step back from the friendship and focus on yourself and not be as available. So I was telling him, you know, when she hits you up to gripe about something or she wants to talk to you, you know, tell her, hey, you know, let me call you back tomorrow. I'm busy with something right now, right? And he saved up a bunch of money. He was planning to go to this Green Bay football game, right? And he was going to go by himself. And I was like, you need to get some friends to go with you, some female friends to go with you, right? So he goes out there, and I was like, document everything on social media. Make sure the girls are in the pictures. right? So, I mean, I don't know who these girls are. They're probably just friends of his friends, who knows? But, you know, he's got these pictures that he's taken with these girls or little short snippets of cheers, you know what I mean? And she was all over it. So she's
Yeah.
just seeing him having all this fun with these beautiful girls. And she started thinking like, well, maybe I misjudged this guy, or like, what are these girls seeing in him that I overlooked? You know what I mean? And then when he got back, she started blowing him up. You know what I mean? I was like, you know, that's great. You're still focusing on you, but, you know, maybe, you know, ask her out on a date. You know what I mean? Like, you know, she wants to go hang out or something, take her not to coffee, but maybe like to a bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like something more, or lunch. You know what I mean? Something like that. And so I
Yeah.
think it's just super important to separate yourself from her, do other things, and involve other women. But I feel like documentation on social media is the most important part. You got to broadcast and let the world know that, you know, you're not the type of dude who should be in the friend zone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what you brought up is a really good point, is that I think a lot of guys, when they're in the friend zone with a girl, they almost don't want her to see that they hang out with other girls, you know, because they feel like, oh, if she sees a picture of me, she's going to think I'm not interested in her. And what I found, and what seems to be the case, is that even if a girl sees you as a friend, right? Even if she has no sexual interest in you, a natural born jealousy kicks in when she sees your attention more interested in somebody else.
Yep.
And to some degree, we even feel that as guys. You know, you mentioned that you had a lot of female friends, and, you know, I've had female friends over the years, and there'd be certain times where I would have this hold on them where they would always be available and always, you know, wanting to hang out and talk. And then all of a sudden they'd be harder to get a hold of. And even the ones that weren't attracted, you know, that I didn't even have an interest in, I found myself, not like I was automatically wanting to date them or sleep with them, but I found myself wanting to win their approval over and get them back. And
Right.
I think that's the first step that you have to get to, is her kind of putting in the effort again, and her wanting to hang out with you rather than you being the one. So I think that's
Right.
a great point that you made up. And it also kind of goes back to your first point of have female friends, right? Make female friends, because the more you do that, the easier it is.
Right.
If she's the only female in your life, it's really hard to do that, right? But
Right.
if you have a whole bunch of friends, it's really easy to pull off a move like that.
Yeah. Right.
And how do you recommend guys countering like the objections she might have, right? So let's just take your client. He's got this girl, he works with her, and, you know, in her mind, she's probably, whether, I don't know him, so it's hard for me to say his game level or, you know, any of that. But in her mind, she's pigeonholed him in some way, right? Or else
Yeah.
she would have shown him more interest.
Right.
So if he's just the nice guy, the friendly guy, or maybe she's like, he's just the work guy, how do you recommend him kind of dealing with those obstacles, right? Changing. I mean, step one, obviously, it is great what you brought up. Okay, let her see him. Let her develop some jealousy, some fear of missing out, fear of maybe even I'm losing him as a friend. But then taking it. I guess my question is, and I get this question from a lot of clients, so I'm curious your take is, when you've interacted the same way with a woman for so long, she kind of pigeonholes you, right? And now it's like to all of a sudden be this super flirty guy who had never flirted with her is going to throw her through the loop. So how do you, like, for your client, how do you recommend kind of like bridging that gap of what she sees him as to what she needs to see him as?
Right. So fortunately, I met him at my boxing gym, right?
Okay.
Which is good, because there's like a certain currency of badassery that
Yep.
women go for, right? If you're like a bodybuilder or a fighter or whatever, you shoot guns, whatever, you know, there's like this badass thing that you want to have, you know what I mean? And so being at the boxing gym and learning boxing, hanging out with professional boxers, and documenting all that on his social media. And he wasn't documenting any of that before. She didn't even know that he joined the boxing gym. You know what I mean? And so putting videos up of him doing this glove work and just like doing badass stuff starts to reframe the way that she saw him, instead of seeing him like, you know, the bartender at my job, we work together, you know, he's kind of like this overweight dude. She's like, well, wait a minute. Like, no, he's hanging out. Like, he's posting videos of him working out, and there's professional boxers who are commenting in his comment section. You know what I mean? And so he really sets himself apart. Now, obviously that's a unique circumstance, right? Like, not everybody's going to go join a boxing gym and make friends with professional boxers, but focusing on something that doesn't involve her, that's just for you, whether it's like, I think a lot of guys get so consumed with this girl that put them in the friend zone that they forget to do themselves. You know what I mean? And so you got to find something that's your own, you know, and it's not like playing Call of Duty, you know, like that's cool, but you know, you've got to find some sort of hobby. I always recommend something involving the gym because it boosts your testosterone. It boosts your badassery. You know what I mean? You meet other cool, badass people, but, you can almost pick that up by, you know, pick up that persona by osmosis if you're kicking it with cool people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what's actually not to go off topic on the gym, but another good thing that I think a lot of nice guys is it's a good idea to go to the gym, especially in the case of your client doing something like boxing or some kind of fighting, is that a lot of nice guys are missing that killer instinct, right? Mm-hmm. They don't know how to go for what they want. They don't have they don't have that edge to kind of, you know, I say go in for the kill, so to speak, with women, but it also probably translates to other areas of their life where they just don't have that killer instinct. And I think by doing some sort of fighting class, whether it's boxing or, you know, jiu-jitsu or something, that kind of teaches you that you have to kind of make that move. You know, whether it's fighting, whether it's with women, as the man, you have to kind of strike first, or else you're going to wind up in the friend zone, which is
right. Yeah. And you know, women, you know, they friend zone the guy who's too friendly. I think there's something instinctual, you know, like when we were all cavemen running around, it was like the big, strong killer dude who was making the most babies. And I don't think we've changed a lot, but I think some things stuck around, you know what I mean? And I think women, you know, women definitely want to be with a man that they feel like can protect them. I think that's a plus, you know what I mean? And so if you've got that, if you can rebuild that badassery, then, you know, you won't allow yourself to be in the friend zone. I'm not saying be hyper aggressive about it, but, you know, you'll stop wasting your time, you know, trying to please her, and you're just going to please yourself. And she's going to see that, and she's going to admire that, and she's going to go after that because that's attractive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what about the, so all right, I'm just kind of bringing it back because we kind of went into the realm of the gym, bringing it back to so he wants to change her opinion of him. He wants to kind of bridge that gap. And now he makes her a little bit jealous with the social media stuff. Now that's got her seeing him differently. Then she sees this other side of him. Oh, he's got this gym hobby. If you're not in the gym, maybe whatever it is, whatever your own life is that you're opening up to. And you actually brought up something good that I just want to point out, is that you really, as a guy, you want to get good at painting a picture over social media, right? Because we didn't have this opportunity 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, if you were in the friend zone, like she didn't know what you were doing when she wasn't there unless you told her, and then it came across as bragging, and it was kind of, but now you have the idea of you can paint whatever picture you want over social media. So I think it's a great point that you brought up, and I want to just reinforce that, because a lot of guys that I talk to, like, I don't want to be on Facebook, or I don't want to be on Instagram, and I'm like, well, then you really don't exist, you know? It's
you better get with it, man, because that's what everyone sees, you know?
It's a shortcut to planting ideas that you want a woman to have about you in her mind. Like, you're just planting whatever it is. She can't help but see it, and now it's on, you know, she sees a video, and even if it's a video of you, like a busted up face, from being in a fight, well, now that image is in her mind, and that image changed, right? It changed some element of how she sees you. So now you've changed her image. what would you say would be the final kind of step? And I know I even remember in the article that you wrote, you kind of said there was 3 steps. What would you say the final step is?
So once you've changed your image, at a certain point you've got to be forward and you've got to go for the kill. You know what I mean? If you're looking out for you and you want this girl, then at a certain point you're gonna have to step up to the plate and take your shot. You know what I mean? And so whether that's like, hey, I'm really glad we're friends. Everything's been cool, but I'm talking to other people right now. I just wanted to let you know, if you want to go grab dinner sometime, obviously you're attractive, but I just want to be real with you because I'm talking to other people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of puts you at a point where there's what's it called? It's like a limited resource, right? You know what I mean? So you're not going at it like you're needy, like, hey, I've changed so much, date me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, I'm just letting you know because there's other women who are talking to me now and I am attracted to you. You know what I mean? And so let's grab dinner sometime. I want to get to know you better. You know what I mean? Or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever you use, but you just got to cross the line. You got to step out there because hanging out in the shadows and being subtle is what gets you in the friend zone in the first place. So I had an old boss back in the day and he was like, Van, sometimes you just got to pull your dick out and put it on the table. That's the best advice ever. Like at some point, don't literally pull your dick out and put it on the table, right? But you just got to, and if she's no, not interested, like, cool, all right, right on, but regardless, you're building your badassery, you're getting out there, you're meeting other girls, you've got friends, females that you're hanging out with, like you're doing all the right things to meet and date other women. So, if it doesn't work out with her, who cares? You know what I mean? Now you've got the tools to go out and find someone better, someone hotter, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And something that I've learned is really when you start doing those things, sometimes you even realize that girl's not even as good as you thought she was.
Yeah.
Especially when you start meeting other women, you're like, well, like, why was I so hung up on her? I've got this other girl's, trying to get at me now. You know what I mean? When you're just trying to make the first one jealous, now you met someone who's really bad and is not giving you a hard time about it. She's down. So.
Yeah. First off, that's 100% true what you said is, and a lot of guys find this out, is that, over the years of my coaching, guys call me up and they're going on about some girl they're in the friend zone with, like she's like the only one that they'll ever, and I'm like,
Right.
She's just the only girl that you're talking to right now, so you just assume that she's this amazing person, and then once they learn this game, it's like they just forget she even existed, because
right.
It's like easy to get hung up on one girl when you don't have a lot of options. But
right.
One thing I'll kind of want to just say to what you said is, at some point you have to go for it. And here's the really great thing, I think, of going for it, is that even if you go for it and she turns you down, right? How you handle it afterwards can actually like change things, right? Because I've had this, like, where I went for it with female friend, kind of got the no, it's and then I just kind of blew, just let it roll off me. It went right after like her friends.
Right.
And all of a sudden she's like, it kind of fucked with her head even more. And then all of a sudden now she's like, whereas if you get all butthurt and depressed and needy and, and you make everything weird between you guys, yeah, you're never going to get her. But if you just do it, I mean, she's going to respect you more for going for it. Because it's more like kind of going back to what we said, it shows you have that killer instinct and you're not just a pussy that's just going to not go for what he wants. But when you eventually go for it, and then if she kind of denies you, and I always tell guys this, a lot of times they'll deny you just because it's like an instinct and they're kind of like, they don't want to, I don't know. I found anyway that a lot of times a female friend like, no, we can't do this. Just because they don't want to take that responsibility. They kind of want you to kind of talk them into, not talk them into it. Talk is kind of girly to say talk them into it, but they want you to be the more dominant one of making it happen. So not that you should ever, obviously force yourself on a female friend, but
right.
You also should understand that you may get resistance, and that doesn't mean it's a hard no. But at some point, like you mentioned earlier, at some point you got to walk away. If it's not going to happen, walk away. Don't spend 3 years. I know that I know you'll see it with your clients, and I see it, and Rob sees it. Is that you've had guys that literally 2 years over the same girl they're in the friend zone with, and it's like, dude, life is too short to be, chasing the same girl for 3 years.
Right. It's like, dude, you know how many times you could have hooked up with her friends chasing
Yeah,
her, man? Like,
yeah,
meet a cousin or something, man. There's got to be more out there, like, shoot.
yeah. So like we said at the beginning of the call, I know you recently got into coaching, and I know you got some cool stuff going on. For the guys interested in connecting with you, whether it be for coaching or just learning more from you, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Yeah. So, I mean, this whole thing kind of fell on my lap, honestly, man. And I'm glad I've been able to help people, and that I guess, I've got some good advice helping guys out. So I'm still trying to get everything together. But right now, best spot is there's a link in the bio that'll put you on my subscribe to my email list. And I'm going to send out, just kind of random advice, that from maybe some stuff that I've worked with my clients over, stuff like that. Just,
Yeah.
Giving guys some free value, you know what I mean? And I'm working on some products right now that I'll roll out with shortly, but that'll probably be the best way to subscribe and just keep in touch with everything I've got cooking. But I'm still in the kitchen right now, but there's some hot stuff coming.
Yeah, no, like I said at the very beginning, Rob said he met you, and he was like, saw your game, saw the way, not only your game, but he saw the way you were giving advice to people. And he was like telling me that, yeah, this guy definitely should be writing for your magazine. And like we said in the beginning, you started writing, and you've already had a nice following of people checking out your articles and stuff. So I recommend for anybody watching this, get in touch with him, get on his email list, and even look out for his articles that he publishes over at TSB, because they're getting really popular. So first off, great to finally meet you. I've heard a lot about you from Rob, and thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, you too, Bobby. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for your time.
If you find yourself in the friend zone, one thing I recommend is taking my short 10-question test, because it provides 10 examples of common dating situations and will let you know if you handle them right or wrong. It's a little quiz, and most guys, before they take it, assume they'll do good, but then they bomb every question. The great thing is you immediately get the results, and you discover why each answer was right or wrong, and it will help you make sure you handle things correctly going forward. You can take the quiz at becomehighvalue.com/quiz. Let's get back into it.